You are now tuned into the Plancast.
Hi guys, welcome to yet another episode of the Plancast. And on today's episode, I'm seated with the one and only Abuchi Peter Ugwu. He's the CEO of Chocolate City, and he's one of the most prominent music execs in the African music scene and many more. So I'm just gonna let you do a more brief, in-depth introduction.
If I have balance, I could have just paid you. You'd be hyping me. My name is Abuchi Peter Ugwu. I work for Chocolate City. I'm the CEO for Chocolate City, Being Creative. Being Creative is an agency under Chocolate City, and what we do is we manage most creative people. So we create a bridge between creative people and every other sector. So that's what we do at Being.
So you would say that like Being is like the creative slash you handle like the creative aspect of Chocolate City products basically.
Not really. So for Being is different. So what we see is Chocolate City manages and handle creatives.
Yeah.
So what we try to do in Chocolate City is that we want to create an atmosphere for creative people to come create. Like for example, you see Blackbone directing his music video. Yeah. It's part of what we do. He's a genius. He wants to create. Let's help you create. Then for Being, once that product is done, Being doesn't work with development. Being is like, hey, the brands, what do you want? They communicate with the brand. They communicate to the talent. So Being sort of is that bridge.
Yeah, the intermediary between
because there's a lot of language.
Intermediary.
You see, sometimes like there are a lot of brands who say, hey, this is what I want. I want conversion. I want to sell 5 bottles. But for you to sell 5 bottles, there are a few touch points that has to happen. Yeah. But most times the artist understands the awareness. So the artist understands, hey, I'm going to post. When I post, this is what I get. But for us in Being, we understand and say, hey, for us to sell 4 bottles or for us to sell a data bundle, you need to post 5 times. We need to after the 5 times, 10% of your fans need to engage with it. After they engage, these people have to stay here. Once they engage, then this is where we sell. So we help manage this process between that, and the key part of us is a key insight of what we use data to back every decision we make. So like, okay, if you want to get 10,000 like, how many posts do you need to post to get to the point where your conversion is like this? So it's all about awareness, conversion, and data has to be in the middle.
That's very in depth.
Yeah.
You know, so like how long, when did you like, at one point, how long have you been in the entertainment scene and how did you start? And what was the drive behind like, oh, I want to actually do this?
Funny enough, it's like when I started, I didn't see myself here. Yeah. So I think I started like about 20 years ago.
20?
Yeah, I've been long in this business. Like, it's been a long time. When I think about it, it's about like about 18 years. So I started by
18.
I was a sound engineer. Yeah. I started by looking. I started looking at the studio when people were mixing. Then became sound engineer. I used to voice people. From voice people, that's how I met Jesse, met MI after Jesse. Then that's how Joss, they needed an engineer. Then I was the engineer at that point. Then I moved to Lagos. I used to work for a company that does production for radio stations. I used to produce like African Top 10, like a lot of programs, short radio programs. Then I was mixing and mastering for people. Yeah. I remember then I used to mix and master for Banky's project, Fitimaya, to tell you how long like I mixed and mastered Damiduro, Oleku at that time. I was really mixing and mastering everything. So after that, then I became personal manager to MI. After personal manager, then I think MI and Godwin Tom had a fallout. Yeah. Then I entered. I was business manager for. So I think Godwin resigned during Christmas. I was business manager. I was hoping, MI would make me manager. In February, March, MI said, he has another babe that she wants her to be manager. Yeah. They relegate me back to personal manager. But I was still being a personal manager, and I was doing my engineering stuff on the side. From after his contract with that ended, I became business manager. Yeah. Then after business manager, then I I became CEO, then I was head of business development in Chocolate City. Then I became CEO, sort of running, because he was an artist at that time. I was running the organization. Then when the whole Warner merger happened, I resigned, then tried to do my own thing, then started being creative. On that, Chocolate City were the first investors on being creative, and started being creative. After being creative, running Being Creative for 2 years, then I moved back to Chocolate City. So now I run Being Creative and Chocolate City. So it's been the journey. I've always been in the system.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like you made mention of being a sound engineer at some point, handling mixing and mastering, and I'm pretty sure like during that process you also handle some aspect of production too.
Yeah.
So would you say like you still have like a portion of publishing from all this product that you did in the past, or then the whole publishing aspect was not really like a thing?
Yeah, I have zero. I don't like when I mix. Like if you see the way I mix, if you ask people that work with me, I just don't clean and add. So people I used to be a big fan of was T-Pain. How T-Pain will listen to a song and chop and screw. So when I'm mixing your songs, like you will come back and hear samples here, chop and screw, because I believe like mixing and mastering is an art. Like for you to understand what a mix and mastering is, a great engineer, you're like the chef. So when you do a food prep, somebody cut the onions, there's the vocal, which let's say is the leaf in the soup. Then there's the Maggi, which is the effect. There's the water. The person that mixes everything and make it sound good, the person that perfect the food, is a mix and mastering engineer. So if you have a great mix and mastering engineer, your song will sound great. So at that time, when I was like really into mix and mastering, they were not giving. Even producers don't used to get split. But now I hear some people that mix and master get split. People like I remember like a lot of records. Like I'll tell the producer and say no, let's not go this right. Play this chord this way. I give like a lot of creative input. And to say like now, I feel like things are evolving. At that time, I know almost all the songs that happen at that time. No one has split shit. Things doesn't happen. But so now things change. Maybe if I was an engineer now, for sure I'll be collecting split. I won't do anything without collecting split. I'll just be like, hold on.
Man, the entertainment industry has really like changed drastically. From being a sound engineer, from being an observer first to engaging through like the beauty of music, creating and perfecting, to now going into the managerial aspect, because it's personal manager is pretty much the manager at the same time, but like it's even greater because it's more personal, to now growing from that to being a manager,
business manager,
a business manager, now down to
head of business development. I was doing the events, like I was running all the ideas. So it was like, and for me, like I think I believe that an artist is a brand. An artist is a brand, and when an artist is a brand, like that process needs to be developed. I believe that an artist can be a giant billboard. So when you see great brands, like I remember like when David Beckham, like he was a great player. Look at what he did with fashion. Look at like when you think about Run DMC's and Adidas. When you think about like even Nas and what hip hop did to Hennessy. When like before I knew what Hennessy was, when I listened to the hip hop song, I knew reference of Hennessy. And then when you look at when I started growing old, then it's okay, Hennessy is a cognac, but then there's Martell. So when you watch Straight Out of Compton, then you see, hey, they used to drink Hennessy, but now they're men, they're drinking Martell. So like, so for me, with that, like that's how I see brands. So it's like, this artist, except for creating two income stream, which is live shows and digital revenue, or your CD. For me, I'm looking like very multiples. What can this brand sell? How do you monetize? What can this brand stand for? What is bigger than the brand? Like I've done so much campaign where I'm like, oh, this guy can be a spokesman for agencies, for all these NGOs. Like, let's give him, because they're spending so much money. This guy can bring it to your target audience cheaper, faster, and quicker. So it's like, so now like that's what moves me. So then that's why I started business development. I started the whole department. We moved to that, then I started running the label. And for me, just even running the label, one of the things that gives me joy in what I do today is like from the fact that you can sign an artist today, in 3 years or 2 years, you can change his family's trajectory. And there's always that story from grass to grace. And it's very, because you go to school. After school, you go to university. After university, you go through work. You go through that. That's like 15, 20 years before you start seeing a huge reward. But music, 3 years, it happens.
Sometimes even in a year, like
it happens now. What was it with the power in time?
Now
within a year, it just happened. Boom.
Your life can change.
I'm telling you,
overnight. Like
it's happening fast.
It's like a gift and a curse.
Which, I can see how it was a curse, because you see what I always tell artists. I say even the younger people, there's something about discipline.
Yeah.
Or if you take a bank manager, the bank manager, before he start making 5 million naira a year or a month, 5 million naira a month is huge. The guy he has made 1K, 200K, 300K. Before he start getting there, he has disciplined himself to that point. But a boy that was making 1K, start making 200K, start making 4 million. Then he wants to buy every gift, so he wants to get all the babes.
Yeah.
He wants to stay in all the Airbnb in Lagos. He wants to drive the best cars, because society tells you those things define your manhood as a guy.
Yeah.
So now then, before you realize you spend all your money, then you're thin, because there's no discipline, and that ends up destroying people. So it's crazy. But
so like financial literacy is like a key factor that creatives, or even not even just creatives, like in general, one must possess, especially when you're like in the entertainment industry, where we're pretty much sitting on liquid money that could just come and just like go.
Yeah.
You know.
And I feel like that's very, I think that every artist, that's one thing they should learn.
Yeah.
Financial literacy. Like it's not a want, it's a need. You need it. Because have you observed that most artists that make money, they end up not investing in themselves. The first money goes to fashion industry. After fashion, then some of them goes to the automobile industry. Then some that have a lot goes to real estate. But then they don't really invest in themselves as structure. Nobody's saying, hey, I'm going to hire 2 people to work my money. I'm going to hire somebody that say, okay, if I need to learn this music business, I need to get a mentor to teach me the music business. So if I stop singing, what happens my next? So they don't do that. So we end up reinvesting in other industry except the creative industry.
Speaking of the creative industry, before we jump in, I want to ask one question. The time that we're in right now, right? You know, there was a time where if you listen to like Nigerian music, you'd be like, shit, that shit is raz, you know. Like, I listen to like outside music and stuff, you know, and we got to a point, currently at the point where it's like, if you don't listen to Nigerian music, what are you doing? You know? But this is just me personally, like what I'm about to say is like my own personal opinion, it's not a fact, you know, I might just be tripping. But with the rates at which there's been a drop in the quality of music that has been going out lately, you know, with this whole attention still around, I feel like we might recline back into that age or into that time where listening to Nigerian music is actually like, oh, can you click next? You know, like
you might be right, to be honest. I fear that. So I fear 2 things to add to what you're saying. Number one is like the other genres like Makossa that was huge. What happened to them after? Like the reggae genre was huge, what happened? And I feel like, you know, like one of the quotes, like they say, if purpose is not defined, abuse is inevitable. So if we don't define what we are doing as like the whole Nigerian music as Afrobeat, as modern Afrobeat, we're going to abuse it. So for example, it's like even in brands, in business, there's the brand elasticity curve, where no matter how great your brand is, there's a time where your brand is stretched thin. People don't want to buy.
Yeah.
That's why if you see the top brands in the world, they do marketing all the time. It's not that they don't have customers, but they spend millions, because sometimes there's customer fatigue. There's what is called customer fatigue. Even you there, sometimes you just don't want to listen to music. Yeah. You're just tired.
That's been me like for the past 1 week.
That's the point. But then at the end of the day, it's like how we're making the music exciting. Like what's new that excites us to be like, fuck, I want to listen to music over this new project. If you listen to it, like, what's different? But now I see like an artist drop a project now, they drop project. Then for me, it's like, people don't even have that replay value anymore.
Yeah.
Like people stream one song. Have you seen like Spotify stats where they say about 20 million songs was not played even once?
True though.
Because people just move on to the next thing.
Or they keep repeating the same song.
They repeated the ones they like. Yeah. Whereas like, what's the experience we're creating? Because we're selling a product. And music is, for me, I feel like music has a spiritual leg to it. Like, there have to be something real. So music have to be more than just music.
Yeah.
Like, music is the only product that I feel like you can sing, you can listen, it could change your emotion. You can cry, you can shout, it can charge you up. If you look at even people that playing sports, whatever sport, before they go off, boxers, they play music to calm them out. There's some songs you play, you're charged up. Yeah. But sometimes, like, we just do music now for just drop, so you lose that core. So I get you. I just feel that I hope people just don't get to a point where they're just tired.
Yeah. It's just so much that's going on. Like, me personally, I used to like, for Afro beats, you know, I might get crucified and stuff, but like, I love Afro beats to the world and I support Afro beats to the world and I've contributed to Afro beats to the world, but I'm not really like a fan of like, I'm a fan, I listen to Afro beats music, you know, like, but I wouldn't, it can't be like my first option, because like I'm more of like a laid back person. I would pretty much choose R&B. You know, I can always infuse African elements to like my R&B, and there's a problem. Okay, I can always infuse African elements into R&B, you know, like, but even with that infusion, I wouldn't still classify it under Afro R&B. You know, it's just like, we're too scared to actually like match up. You know, you still have to limit yourself to box just to give yourself an excuse that, oh, I'm not there because, you know, my own is African. But it's still like, it's just based on like instrument, you know, like you can actually, if people start to like understand that Afro beats, we don't even know what Afro beats is, because the Afro beats that Fela started, you know, like, I need to study more of Afrobeats history, to be honest, you know, but the Afrobeats that Fela started, it's sounding totally different, and it's just like changing, you know, like there's so much like music being put out, there's barely any knowledge, there's barely any documentation, amplification, discovery, but it's just like a different sound this day, another one comes out, it's still Afrobeats, another one comes out, it's still Afrobeats, but none of them are sounding like identical. So what do you think about like the whole subgenre of like having to classify like genre, because Africa is more than Afrobeats, you know? I feel like
they're doing us a disservice.
Yeah.
And we need to understand that. It's like when I think about, I believe that Blackbone or MI can take any artist internationally, any hip hop artist, period.
Yeah.
I do believe that, and I can put my money behind them. I believe that Young John can take any pop artist.
Yeah.
Period. Like, look at what Burna is doing globally. Look at what Wizkid is doing globally. Yeah. Look at what David is doing globally. Even Tiwa, I thought she was doing a tour with Young John. Like, I've just seen like the energy she puts out, and just her craft. So for me, it's like, why do we need to limit to just this? Like, I look forward one day to see like Afrobeat is a thing, and apart from Afrobeat being a thing, is that what you see like the best jazz artists.
Yeah.
Then, like for me, I'm a huge jazz fan. Like I have my Davids. If you see my collection of vinyls, like I want to see, and if you see like Fela's drummer, former drummer, wins like how many Grammy for drum lines here, this, that. Some people win in all those world genres.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to see where the best pop artist, Burna Boy, stands head to head with the biggest artist in America, because Burna Boy has the number, Burna Boy has done the shows, Burna Boy has the catalog to back it. Best hip hop artist, let them give our artists the platform, so it's head to head. So fundamentally, I do believe that Africa is more than Afrobeat.
Yeah.
Afrobeat is a calling, is a core of what we do. And again, it's like, because if you understand the percussion and you understand, and therefore now, even with like producers, the younger producers now, most of them can't even play chords. So people have moved to the era of, they don't even play. Most people like, give me C, they don't even know what C is. They don't know how many chords, give me full C. They don't know happy chord, sad chord. What they do now is they just program beats.
Yeah.
Or filter the program, do, which for me, again, that's genius on its own level. But I feel like we need to always still be between, there needs to be a connection between what the chords are, what the basics are, and what we're trying to do. But I fundamentally, I think like our sound is evolving. And again, the sad truth again that I see from selling music is sometimes the young people want what they want.
Yeah.
The reason maybe you might want this because you're an old soul, you might want something more, but the young people just care, they just want to turn up. And if you don't give them what they want to, you're playing for yourself. So at the end of the day, there's a thin line where you ask yourself and say, I know this is what the fans want, but how do I evolve to what I want?
But what if the fans are wrong?
Yeah, but to be honest, like at the end of the day, it's like we don't even know who's right or wrong. Because so I always tell people that just stick to your values.
Yeah. What if you don't? Because the fans might, okay, let's say, oh, the fans might be like, oh, I want this. But what if they don't even know what they want?
To be honest, most times people don't know what they want.
Yeah. I think they just familiar with the...
Yeah, they just with what is popular. And the cool kids always want what is popular.
Right.
And then every other people follow the cool kids. But at the end of the day, it's like those people that the cool kids follow, I just believe that whatever they do, hope they're true to themselves. Because I always believe that music is more than just music.
Yeah.
So it's like, how true are they to themselves? So when I feel like music gets to the point where music is pure, like how do we pass them this product as pure as it may sound? Because sometimes, like when I hear songs like Egyptian, and it's just 2 chord keyboard, and it's just 1-2 progression, and it starts and finishes, and that song is a hit, global hit. I heard some other songs before that has 5 chords, progression is a hit. So sometimes you can't even tell what is a hit or what's not a hit. But it's just like, I believe like the easiest way to do is like to know this song, is it at the best state in which the song is?
That's that's very in depth.
Yeah.
I like the word in depth.
Yeah.
Do you know if you say in depth, it just makes everything sound so brilliant?
Yeah, I think, and I feel like sometimes even the young people, I think like we just need to think. For example, when you say in depth, is to say, sometimes people say no or yes.
Yeah.
Like, did you think about the decision deep down and say, what's the reason why am I saying yes or no?
True.
Because when you think deep down, then you have a different perspective. Then your yes starts saying get stronger, or your no gets stronger. Because now you have a reason why you're saying yes or no. And sometimes people are scared of thinking deep down, because people have things they're buried, they don't want to
they want to dig it up.
Take it out. But sometimes I feel like you have to push yourself.
You gotta dig it up.
You have to.
And burn it.
You have to think.
So it doesn't exist.
Like recently, like I feel like the best thing for me is just think.
Yeah.
Because when you keep on thinking, then that's when you're discovering certain things. The certain things make sense. But sometimes people just don't think.
Speaking about thinking, right? How business is one aspect, or the music business is one aspect of the entertainment, right? But now, like, we're going to dive into like the personal stuff. So like, how are you able to like maintain like a work-life balance? You know, having to because me, I'll use myself as an example now. Me, I'm just maybe like almost 4 years in the music industry. I'm just very hungry, so like I like to chase way more than
one next,
you know. But now like we all that amount of like it attracts like a very weird kind of energy around. And sometimes you can be overly defensive in the music industry that you forget to turn off. You know, you can just be like on the edge, you know, like you're defensive because if you're like, especially if you're like a very easygoing person, kind and stuff, it's easy to be, you know, cajoled or whatever. So your defenses are always up. That sometimes you forget to switch it. You know, when you're talking to like someone that is just a 9-to-5 that has nothing to do with this, you can just like be over reasoning stuff without, and it's not even intentional. Like you're passing that whole habit that you've picked up into the real life. So how are you able to like separate, you know, or put together like emotion, or give yourself that awareness that, oh, I'm not talking to someone in the industry right now, or it's a different conversation, or this person's perspective is from a different perspective, not from a industry perspective. How do you put that balance into it?
To be honest, I think it's a constant journey. Like it's a journey. You keep on figuring it out. We live. But for me, I think it's first and first, like you have to create structure to protect you from yourself. Why this is, for example, like I have a routine. I wake up by 6. I go to the gym 1 hour. I come. I have a written time. You know, some people, they come to my office and they're like, no, I don't have a meeting with you, bounce. Okay, what's time? Some people may be like, it's rude, but they realize that sometimes I have a task, I have work to do. But I end up hanging out with somebody for 2 hours. That is on my calendar, or 3 hours. But because I have a structure around it, I say, hey, this is what my calendar says for today. This week, I have a calendar for every month ahead of time. I have free time, a lot. So when you start creating those things, you just start thinking structured with structure. And fundamentally, even when I meet people outside what I do, I understand that number one, like I have certain philosophies and value that govern me. Number one, faith. Second is courage. So whoever I'm dealing with, be it in this business, be it in that business, my 2 values are very important. Number one is my faith. This is what my faith says. This is what my faith says about the situation. And second is the courage to be able to stand by my faith. Because sometimes it's like, you're telling people, no, I'm not doing that. Well, then you know what your faith says, you know what you stand by, but you're the odd one. But at those times, you need courage to be able to be like, I have the courage to say no to this, or to say yes to based on what my beliefs are. So those sort of value system you create around is that's what governs me. And I have a few philosophies. So number one, do to others when they want it, or how you want them to do to you. Like even the way I speak to people, the way I talk to people, the same way I want to be treated. So I sort of give back. So because I have those philosophy, so when I talk to people, be it in this business, be it in every business, that's the same philosophy that guides me all through. So when you understand that, then it's easy to deal with whoever the person is. And then above all, my number one is in everything I do, I have to make the world better than I met it. So even though it means like, if the stone is by the road, I'm going to put it by the side.
Even if it's a little bit better, but it's not worse than how it was.
I would, like, even when I go somewhere, like sometimes I would tell my friend,
it has to be better.
Like, even when we go to play football, I'm like, no, we have to clear.
Yeah.
People like, leave it. I'm like, no. It's either we're clearing or we're paying for somebody clearing it. Because sometimes it's like, it's very important.
Yeah.
And in between, then I look for, like, you have to look for something you do that gives you joy. Like, for me, I play polo. It gives me, like, that's my small happiness. But people know when I'm stressed, like, that's what I do. Like, so again, it's that structure. Very important. You have to create that structure.
Polo.
Yeah. Very important.
And that's kind of, how long did it take you to, like, actually gain that, like, realize that, oh, these are the, like, important points to actually put your work life in balance?
Yeah, I think again, you know, they said the wise man will learn from other people's experience, not his experience. So like for me, I have few people I want to be like, and when I look at them, I look at what they have done. I copy here, I copy here, I copy here, and then when you talk to people, you find that, hey, this has crashed this person has bond. So from learning from everybody, I just add. And the more I keep on going, like I keep on editing my values and goals and how I treat life, keep on going. And I think the one thing I think I've learned in my life that's been very fundamental is just the ability to learn and unlearn. So sometimes like I know, sometimes like, okay, I have to know and not know.
Yeah.
It's like imagine your grandfather telling your grandfather that at this stage you are going to do a video call and you see him wherever he is. And he, like, I'm sure if he shows up, you'll just be like, he doesn't understand. Because for him, he understood that for you to send a letter from Lagos to, let's say, before abroad, they wait 2 weeks to get one letter.
Yeah.
A month. But that's what he's sending seconds in WhatsApp. Like, so he has to unlearn what he knew, that's like, to be able to accept change. So sometimes even me, like every time I unlearn, like even music, like one time music, I knew Abu, I knew everybody in Alaba. But then I have to learn and say, hey, music has switched. Music is digital. Even in digital now, I need to understand that now I need to start understanding payment solution. I need to start understanding, okay, how do I tap into playlists and communities and people? So it's changing. So you always have to learn and unlearn.
Wow. That's facts. Change is not a constant. It's a variable.
It's part of life.
Did they say change is a constant?
Change is constant.
I don't think change is a constant though.
Yeah.
Change is a constant is such an optimistic thing to say.
Yeah, for me, I don't think change is constant. I think change is part of life.
Yeah.
Because when you think change as part of life, then you understand. Like when people change, you're not personal. It's not personal.
You know?
It's just life. So it's like when things happen for me, personally, it's life.
Yeah.
So it's like I understand certain things, value, people will always be people. And another thing for me is like people always gravitate towards value. So before I was like, why would he do that? Why would she? I'm like, nah, it's just value. And what I define as value might be different from what you define as value. So it can be what people gravitate towards, and that's fine.
Okay, so we're just going to like jump right into the roundup session. I'm gonna ask, give me 3 highlights of your career, like moments of highlight that you would not forget, and I also need like 3 cons, moments of like reality check that fuck this shit, because me I always have moments of reality almost every week, even like me and you worked, I'm one of the most, I can be very difficult to work with, and personally I know that, and the difficulty is not based on like as per like just trying to be difficult. My principles are very high, like it's very stern. It's hard for me to like move away from my policies, especially when I'm trying to get the job done, because it goes way more than just the policies. I need those policies to actually make these results happen. If I divert, it might not happen, and this whole policies are flexible, but if it's not needed, if it's not going to bring the result, there's really no point. So that's where it comes from, so like having to like face these cons, it will frequently, I used to face like mad, but now like it's way more relaxed and chill, because like there's way more quality of stuff that I handle, like even the whole perspective, like the whole ideology of like what success means now, like, so how have you been, what are like 3 highlights that has really like, oh my god, you never forget, and the cons that you've has like really given you a setback, like the setbacks and how you've been able to overcome it?
I think like for me, I don't look at it like that's every day.
Every day?
Like every day there are things where I'm just like, fuck this shit, I'm done. Sometimes there are things where I look at it, like for example, when I see Black.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when Black shows up, like he has his own staff around him now, he has a house, he has a car, he's rolling. And when I see that, it gives me so much joy.
Yeah.
Because I remember when Black used to trek and come from OAU to the office before, and he used to make so much noise. In my head, I'm like, why is this boy making too much noise? But for me, it's like I saw the drive. And the day he bought his mother a car, like for me, I can't explain the feeling.
Yeah.
For me, it's like his mother believed in him. And like, this is what people that your mother will like, oh, this one went to school and do. Like, these are what people do. For me, it's like people doing that.
Yeah.
And then recently just seeing Young John from, I remember his first show when the brand called me and said, Young John can perform. Blah, blah, they were upset. Then I saw him perform recently. So much energy. He had like 4 shows back to back. And for me, I was just like, wow. It just gives like so much joy. Just seeing how he has grown. And then little things, sometimes it might just be coffee that I drink in the morning. I'm just like, damn. I'll just be like, God is good. Or sometimes there's some plantain I eat, I'll just be like,
life is good.
And some people say there's no God. Like sometimes for me, I realize that in those little things, like when you start finding joy in those little things, then you start seeing the world differently. And when you start seeing the world differently, then like it just changed your perspective. So before I used to be upset. Like I remember before I had one artist that I was trying to tell him to resign his career contract this long time. When am I will see you? The guy said no. Say he want to go, blah blah. Like, guy. I said this is what we said. No, he has a new team. He left, and nothing happened to him. At that time, he was one of the peak artists, and that one pained me for a long time. Because for me, I felt like, he chose other people, but we had a plan. Then I had another female artist, which was a DJ. When she told me, I was like, so she was trying to renegotiate, and I think somebody got her a show. We got her the show, but because we're on the process of negotiating, the company was going to make a cut, and she goes with the other person. And this is like my close friend for years.
Yeah.
And she told me, I said, I don't care about you. It's all about business. And for me, it broke me because when I looked at it, I'm like, how do we get here? There's about 200K or 300K. That the bond and the time
can be very cold.
Just cold. So when I thought about it, for now, it's like if artist tells me, this is it, I'm just going to be like, it's okay. How do I help you? Because before, I can be vindictive before, but now it's like, how do I help you? Why this is important for me is like, I realize I'm not doing it for them, I'm doing it for myself. Like, I feel like anything you're willing to let go, God will give it times 2. I fundamentally believe that. So now I just don't care. Like sometimes when somebody will rough me in traffic or I'm just like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, let it go. I'll sleep over. When I meditate, I wake up, I forget it, I just let it go. Tomorrow I'll just people and I will laugh about it. Just living life like that, it just changed life. Because sometimes you'll be holding somebody in front of you that you won't even, when something happened bad here, you'll say, okay, there's green around, like other things are beautiful, but you just talk up with this one wrong that you're not appreciating the whole picture because there's something wrong. So these days I've learned to be like, hey, nah, it's all about the picture. And then I understand that it's all about the process. Everything I've been through prepared me for where I am. So have you seen like when Anthony Joshua will train for like a whole summer to fight 30 minutes? So you don't know everything you're going to go the street training you for this one fight that might come. Sometimes you don't know. So like that's how I live.
That's actually a very dope way to live though.
Yeah.
That's a very inspiring way to live.
And I have one lesson I always tell my another philosophy I tell my people around me. I have no regret, only lessons.
You have no regrets?
I have no regrets,
only lessons.
Only lessons. And that's why people say in business, why you calm? I'm just like, nah, it's okay. Like sometimes people cross me, it's like it's okay. Because the person doesn't think that we might cross when we meet in the middle. But if you're always valuable, we're always going to meet because I'm going to the front. So why am I worried about today?
It's like one of my favorite words.
Yeah.
Reconciliation is always going to be easier as long as you're on the top. You know, that's
Period.
I say that's like my word. Like whenever I'm just like really tough, you know, like cause it's always gonna be, you're gonna reconcile because at some point you need to like,
because that person has value to give you.
You know,
it's all about value. You know, that's why I say people gravitate towards value.
Yeah. So reconciliation is always gonna be easier as long as you're on top.
Yeah.
That's right. Man, this was a very, very good one, bro. Me personally, I appreciate.
Anytime you're fam. Yeah, fam. You're one of the when I took over when I was trying to crack the playlist. You're one of the few people that showed up and jumped. So I appreciate.
Thanks, man.
So I'm always here.
That means a lot.
I'm here for you, man. I always remember my people that show up for me.
Yeah. It's all good, bro. Thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate. So we'll just round up.
Thanks, man.
Always a pleasure.
You are now tuned into the Plancast.